What's he worth to you? I mean, I guess it's always one of those situations where you'll figure out a way if he's producing, but man, the distractions and the headaches just seem never ending with him. We're on year 3 of people kind of talking themselves into the idea that he's going to grow up and mature. And I think we kind of heard that too with Deontay Johnson. Granted, he wasn't nearly as...
and Chase Claypool.
Right.
And Martavis Bryant.
Right. Granted, they weren't nearly as...
Antonio Holmes.
In the spotlight.
And Antonio
every
Brown.
Single week. Well, Antonio far outperformed his expectations before he,
yes, he did.
Went off the rails. George is a guy, a case that I can't really remember a receiver who was this problematic in his career before ever really accomplishing anything of substance.
My point there would be once they start to go the wrong way, literally in Deontay's case, Tomlin is unable to reel them back in, and they've traded every single one of them. And I have zero faith that he's going to reel in George Pickens because all he's done is enable George Pickens. From the moment Pickens had that ridiculous sideline tirade in Atlanta when he was...
Rookie year.
He was a child.
Yeah.
And Tomlin ran interference for him then. He's been running interference for him ever since, and now he's getting what he deserves. Is they need to win a game the other night, and this guy is completely distracted. He's fighting with fans, and Tomlin claims he doesn't even know that happened. Wouldn't you want to know that happened as a coach and tell the guy you got to get your head in the game?
I mentioned this to Crowley on the morning show Friday when he had me on. I do think there's a decent chance here that Mike Tomlin isn't running interference for George or protecting George, the player or the person. I think, especially with the way the Deontay Johnson trade ended up playing out, not getting a ton in return for a former Pro Bowler, he might be protecting George, the asset, the value of George, if they do decide, okay, Uncle, we've had enough dealing with the guy every week and every season. Every team knows this already anyway. You're not really keeping any secrets here from the other 31, but why let the narrative completely balloon out of control to where a team calls you and say, well, we did see what Mike said about him
that would
after
be
that
playing
Bengals game
a serious game of chess right there if you're Tomlin. But I heard your theory with Crowley, and I do think it's very interesting.
The other possibility here that I don't know has been broached much, because I know, everybody from, the beat and the station have talked about, well, what do they do with him this offseason? Trade him? Can you really extend him and give him all that money and wonder, is he going to be an even bigger issue? What if you just go with the kind of simplest point from point A to point B? Don't extend him. Say, well, George, you're under contract. Here's how it works. If you have an issue, take it up with your agent. He can take it up with us, but this is how the NFL is structured. We think we've done right by you so far. We've had a lot of chances to call you out and kind of put you on blast to the public when we get asked about you, and we've always had your back. So you're going to play out this year. We're going to see if you have that more mature way about
it'll get ugly.
But what's the difference? It's already been ugly for 3 years.
Maybe the Steelers could get uglier.
It could, but maybe the Steelers say, we've already been dealing with this from the time he got here. So how much worse can it get?
Yeah, I do hear that. But here's the other thing.
Then the franchise tag's at your disposal.
I'm sure he'd love that.
Well, hey,
the old franchise tag.
Just say, hey, look, what happened to Le'Veon? Did it work out for him?
Financially, it did.
I guess, but then he's out of the league. So
yeah, but he's counting his money. But here's the thing, Brian. This Ravens game could determine whether another team wants. If George Pickens shows out with 9 catches for $150,
there's always
a
chance there could be one. There could always be one.
That's your lasting image of Pickens.
Off your hands.
Yeah. I'm sure that there would be other teams interested.
But again,
however,
he did slip to the draft, like you opened this segment by saying. So there wasn't one until the Steelers came along in the second round.
But you also can't argue that he's been pretty productive and at times spectacular.
Sure. He also had the ACL injury that hampered the end of his Georgia career.
On the other hand, if he quits in this game and looks like he did the other night and is totally distracted, then maybe you don't even get one team who would even want to deal with that.